evening everyone. I hope you guys are well. Welcome back to my channel. Before we begin, subscribe to my channel, and like my video and tell me about your horror experiences in comment section.
Morning was already there. When we bought the house, thick black marker across the basement door read, "Do not enter basement." No explanation. No date. No name. The realtor laughed and said the previous owner was paranoid. But the door handle was deeply scratched, like something had tried to claw its way out from the inside. We ignored the warning. For 2 weeks. That's when the noises began. Every night at exactly 2:17 a.m. something heavy moved beneath the floorboards. It didn't shuffle or wander. It moved with purpose, like furniture dragged slowly across concrete. A damp, metallic smell followed soon after. It burned our throats and crept through the vents, like it was searching for us. The basement door was always warm to the touch. The rest of the house stayed cold. No matter how high we turned the heat. One evening, I noticed fresh scratches carved into the inside of the door frame. They faced outward. Whatever made them had been trapped below. My wife admitted she heard whispering through the vents at night. The voice repeated our names, slowly practicing the way we said them. We found old photographs hidden behind a loose kitchen panel. Every image showed a different family, standing at the top of the basement stairs, staring down. None of them were smiling, and at the bottom of every staircase, something waited in the dark. That night, the basement door opened by itself. No creak. No warning. The stairs didn't end where they should have. They descended far deeper than the house's foundation allowed. The air felt alive, pulsing against my skin as I stepped down. At the bottom was a second door. Carved into the wood were 4 words, "It doesn't like being remembered." Behind me, the basement door slammed shut. The whispers grew louder. If the basement was never meant to be entered, why does it keep calling us down there? We moved into the house because it was isolated. No neighbors, no traffic, just trees and silence. At first it felt peaceful. Then we realized the silence was never real. At night, footsteps echoed through the hallway, long after we were asleep. 3 of us lived in that house, but we always heard 4 sets of footsteps. Our son said he wasn't scared. He said someone stood in his room at night, watching quietly from the corner. He called it the Quiet One. He said it never blinked. And it didn't like the lights being on. We installed security cameras throughout the house. The video showed empty rooms every night, but the audio told a different story. Breathing layered beneath. Our own voices filled the recordings. Sometimes a 4th voice whispered between our sentences. It sounded delayed, like it was learning how to speak. Family photos started changing. In older pictures, a tall shadow appeared behind us. Each day, the shadow grew clearer. It stood closer, its head tilted like it was curious. One night, my wife woke me shaking. She said someone was standing beside the bed, counting our breaths. When I turned the light on, nothing was there, but the mattress was still pressed down. We searched the attic for answers. That's where we found the names, carved into a support beams. Dozens of names filled the wood. Entire families who had lived there before us. Some names were crossed out. Others were left untouched. Our names were carved at the bottom. The wood was still wet with sap. Beneath them was a sentence, etched deeply into the beam. You never move in alone. That night, the footsteps stopped pacing. They stood still outside our bedroom door. The breathing matched ours perfectly. In and out. If we were never alone. How long has it been? Standing behind us. Waiting for us to notice. The house had too many windows. Not just outside but inside. Staring into rooms from hallways. Closets, even the ceiling above the stairs. The realtor called it unique architecture. I called it unsettling. At first. I thought I was imagining things. Then the windows started reacting. Whenever we argued, condensation formed on the glass. Fingerprints pressed from the inside. Slow and deliberate. When we laughed. The windows stayed clear. When we slept, moonlight bent through the glass. Spotlighting our bodies like we were on display. One night. I tested it. I stood alone in the living room and whispered, "Can you see me?" Every window fogged instantly. All at once. We found blueprints. Hidden beneath a loose floorboard. The architect's notes were scribbled obsessively along the margins. Sightlines optimized. Subject behavior predictable. Observation uninterrupted. This house wasn't built to protect anyone. It was built to watch them. The mirrors started lagging behind our movements. Just half a second. Long enough to notice. Sometimes our reflections blinked when we didn't. At night, the windows turned completely black. From inside the walls, something shifted. Like a body getting comfortable. A low breathing sound followed us. From room to room. Slow. Patient. We tried covering the windows. By morning, every cover had been removed. On the final night, every window went dark at once. The breathing grew uneven. Excited. Words appeared slowly. Across the glass. From the inside. "Thank you for letting me watch." The lights went out. The breathing stopped. If the house watches us, what happens when it decides it's finished observing? The house remembered things we tried to erase. Scratches returned after we painted over them. And bloodstains seeped back through new carpet. Broken furniture reappeared. Exactly where it had been before. Even after we threw it away. Then the house began remembering people. That's when we realized it wasn't just haunted. I walked into the guest room. And froze. My childhood bedroom had been recreated perfectly. The same posters. The same cracked lamp. Even the smell of dust and old paper was there. My wife found her grandmother's kitchen, behind a door that hadn't existed. The day before, the clock inside ticked, even though it had stopped decades ago. The house wasn't changing randomly. It was rebuilding our past. In the basement. We discovered a long hallway, lined with doors. Each door had a name carved into it. Some names were crossed out violently. Others were left untouched. A journal lay open on the floor. It belonged to someone who had lived here before us. Every entry described the same pattern. First the house learned their memories. Then it learned their habits. Then their fears. The final entry read. It remembers you so it can keep you. That night, voices echoed through the walls. They repeated our memories aloud. Private moments. Regrets we never shared. Promises we had broken. The walls pulsed gently, like the house was breathing us in. At the end of the hallway, a new door appeared. It had our names carved into it. Our names weren't crossed out. We tried to leave, but the front door led back into the house. The rooms rearranged themselves, guiding us deeper. When we found the journal again, The last page was no longer blank. New words had appeared. Now you belong to the house. If this house remembers everything, what happens when it refuses to forget us? At exactly midnight, every lock engaged at once. Doors, windows, even the vents sealed shut. Our phones lost signal instantly. The power flickered, then stabilized. Like the house wanted us awake. This wasn't a malfunction. It was a routine. At 12:01 a.m. lights turned on in empty rooms. Footsteps echoed through the halls. Slow and measured. A voice came through an intercom system. We never installed. Occupants confirmed. We searched the house for answers. That's when we found old city records, hidden inside the walls. The property was listed as a containment structure. No explanation. Just renewal stamps every 10 years. Scratches covered the inside of every exit. Something had tried to escape before us. At 12:30, the temperature dropped suddenly. Something moved. Outside the walls. Circling, testing. The house creaked in response. It sounded like it was bracing itself. The intercom crackled again. Remain calm. Protection in progress. Whatever was outside screamed. The sound shook the foundation. We pressed ourselves to the floor. As something slammed into the house again and again. The walls held. At dawn, the locks released all at once. The house went quiet. The front door was carved. With fresh words. Thank you for staying. Outside, the yard was torn apart. Deep gouges scarred the ground. Whatever had been kept out was gone. So were the records. The walls were clean. Like nothing had ever happened. If the house locked itself, was it protecting us? Or protecting something much worse inside?
I hope you liked this video. The Hollow chapter will return with more terror and horror. Like and subscribe to stay updated.